Hi, everybody. It's Denise with Divine Soul Astrology. Today I'm here to discuss the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. And it's happening astrologically. That will be universal time on the 28th of the month at 4:18 a.m. So that's UTC time. Now in California here, I have the time noted here. It's at 9:18 p.m. the night before, all right? I just want to make that clear. So check for your own time, but I do have the universal time up here for you guys. All right. So today we have all the 12 signs, and it is an exciting full moon. It's a partial eclipse, but it's super exciting because it is about intuitive Pisces. And yes, and it is a major revelation when we have an eclipse. It's a full moon on steroids, as all eclipses are. And full moons are very exciting, right? They are. So we have the moon and the sun both at 4 degrees, right? The moon is at 4 degrees of Pisces, and the sun is at 4 degrees of discerning Virgo. So this actually is in the health axis. We can call it that, right? Because Pisces rules mental health and Virgo rules physical health. So, and the number four is about stability, right? In numerology, it sure is. So, but the eclipse is going to emphasize themes of release, emotional completion, surrender, discernment, and bringing the invisible into the conscious awareness. In other words, understanding what was hidden or unavailable to us prior. And the eclipse can last anywhere, the kind of the consequences or the results sort of. It can last, for lack of a better word, can last anywhere from a few months, even up to 2 years, depending. However, the last Virgo Pisces eclipse in this Virgo Pisces eclipse cycle will be in February of 2027 next year, right? Now, if you have planets anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees in the mutable signs, which are Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius, you're likely to very much feel this. Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's talk about this. And the Pisces Virgo axis invites us to bring into balance and merge the positive qualities of both signs, right? So for Pisces, it's intuition, spirituality, compassion, imagination, faith and hope, and surrender. And also the unconscious mind. So Pisces rules the 12th house. The 12th house is a hidden house. Pisces, can be about fantasy and mystery. It's also movies. It rules the 12th house of photography and cinematography. It's a creative sign. It's also, it can be about healing, Pisces. It can be doctors, healers, mystics for sure, psychologists, psychiatrists, but also anything of the unconscious mind, also anything regarding mysticism, just like astrology. All right. Jupiter is the ruler of the full moon. So we're going to talk about Jupiter today. We sure are. Yeah. And so when we talk about Virgo, we talk about Virgo rules discernment, practical reality, really, right? For daily affairs, everything that has to do with the practicality. Virgo rules organization, refinement, discernment, and precision are also health and wellness as it rules the sixth house, right? It rules work and service, right? Habits, routines, and details, all right? And the eclipse can show us where we've been over controlling or over analyzing or trying to make things fit or make sense. Now, Virgo, since it rules details and analysis, Mercury is the ruler, the intelligence, but it rules these habits and methods and processes, systems, even. So Virgo rules that, but since it does, it wants everything to be right. So sometimes it can worry, oh, like overly discern, or it can also, we can also say that Virgo will it can worry or maybe be critical, but overanalyze. Yeah, it does try to make things fit in terms of trying to make things efficient, where Pisces wants trust and acceptance, and Pisces can try to make something fit, but in a different way. Pisces can be overly optimistic and overly idealistic, even when things, the facts are supporting. Virgo is the facts, even when the facts are supporting that something will likely never work out, right? And Pisces sometimes, can be too vague or sometimes unrealistic. Remember, Pisces rules the ocean. There's not a lot of boundaries. It's a flowy sign where they want to be in the flow. So they're easygoing and they can accept things. Sometimes accept things that may not be good for them because they're not realistic. Yeah. And so the eclipse, Virgo wants what is true and practical. So the eclipse can ask us, what have we intuitively known all along, Pisces, yet been unwilling to truly acknowledge, and what needs to be released in Pisces so we can move forward, right, with greater clarity. The Pisces lunar eclipse will bring a revelation, which will in turn bring an ending and consequently a new beginning. Yeah, that's how that works. Yeah. And so, and on the day of the eclipse, we have the sun and Mercury is the ruler of Virgo and Gemini. It's actually in Virgo, conjoined or aligned, right? We like to say conjoined, but conjoined with the sun. The sun is trying to bring clarity. Mercury rules the brains. It rules understanding, communication, ideas, intelligence, curiosity. So when we have the sun and Mercury there in its own sign, it's, Mercury, it's so powerful. It's in discerning Virgo, squaring the planet of change, Uranus, in curious and intelligent Gemini, right here, which is ruled by Mercury. So we understand something that's going on here, right? Let's have a look at the sun. Where is the sun? And right here. And so we see the square to Uranus. The square is, asking us to do something, to make an adjustment, to make things better. It can create challenge, like kind of an internal kind of conflict within us. And so wants innovation. So does Virgo, really. It wants things to be better or precise. It wants all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed. And right, it goes by the facts. Now, Uranus wants innovation and change, progress, but it has to do with independence and kind of rebelliousness, right? A rebellion, sort of, where, hey, I want things to change because I think they can be better and I don't care about anything else. It's a very independent. Uranus has to do with independence, right? It is the modern ruler of Aquarius. It also has to do with intelligence because it rules an air sign, which rules the mind. Yeah, air signs have to do with they do have to do with the mind. And so we have Uranus here. It looks like an antenna. At least I don't know how the new antennas look. I don't. But now, with technology and everything, may have changed big time. But this rules technology as well, and the spiritual dimension. It also Uranus is associated with inventors, and being very different. And you say, I'm going to kind of, walk to my own, according to my own heart and what I think is, they don't care really. It's interesting about what other people might think, but it's interesting. Uranus also rules the 11th house of friends. So it does have to do with, they do, they care about Uranus a little bit about the collective. They do. They're kind of activists, humanitarians, when we talk about Aquarius. But it does, and humanitarians and the activists have to do with change, right? So it's asking us to embrace something. I don't want to get too off here, but it's asking us to embrace something about change. And the full moon will illuminate that. It sure will. So let's talk about Aries, sun, moon, and rising. Kind of getting off on a tangent there, right? Aries, here we have you already on the ascendant, all right? So for you, the eclipse is happening in your 12th house of endings and release, mental health, intuition, and spiritual growth. This is also your house of self-undoing, the house of addictions, vices. It's the house, it's a hidden house. It's in, this can be really revealing something for you big time, Aries, right? And Also, it is also the house of healing, transcendence, as I said, spiritual growth. So the sun, and it is opposing the sun in your sixth house of health and wellness. Here's the sun right here, and this is your sixth house, Aries, of also of work and service and your daily practical matters, your responsibilities, your habits, and your routines. It's also a house of obstacles and problem solving. So for you, this we talked about how these signs, Virgo and Pisces both rule health. And for you, it could be even more, right? Because you are the only sign that has that is, the natural chart according to the zodiac, where Aries starts the first sign in the zodiac. Now, when we talk about health, though, we can talk about the health of anything. It could be the health of your lifestyle, the health of your work, the health of your private life. I mean, it can be anything. It doesn't always have to be physical health. And so this is also where the sun is being opposed by the moon. It's also your house, Aries, of obstacles, yet problem solving. Virgo wants to solve problems as well. The sixth house is about refining and improving precision. And so it wants to solve problems. And the eclipse, yeah, I mentioned it, it's in the health axis for sure. And the sun in Virgo wants you to gain clarity, but it's only with the release of something first. Now, it could be simultaneously, but we can see the opposition to the your 12th house of release and endings. This is the house of surrender. Surrender to something, right? Trust your intuition and also do some discerning here at the same time, because that's what the full moon eclipse is about. It's about using both qualities, right? And the moon in Pisces is conjoined with the north node of higher potential. It's in future oriented Aquarius. It's also in your 11th house of, hopes and wishes. This is your house of friends and social connections, like-minded people, people who may want to collaborate with you. It's a social, that is kind of a social justice house, if you will. It's a house of humanitarianism. It's a house of change. Um, yeah, and that's why it is about future aspirations as well, right? Um, And so the full moon, lunar eclipse, rather, it can be inviting you to release old fears, because this house where the full moon sits, Aries, is in that 12th house of fears and illusions and doubts and yeah, not seeing things, right? It's a hidden house, things that can be hidden, right? And so this can also be about hidden patterns, Aries, to help you release old hidden patterns, and also unresolved emotions, how they can be draining your energy. Yes, because, yeah, that's highly interesting there, right? The sun is associated with energy over here and our vitality, and it's in the sixth house here, being opposed by the moon. So even also perhaps it could be inviting you to release these hidden patterns or something that could be, unresolved emotions that can be draining your energy, but it can also be affecting your work, maybe your service possibly, but your work, your wellness, and how you live life on a daily basis, right? And the eclipse is in your house of retreat as well. So this is your house of alone times. It's a big house, right? It's huge, right? Every house is big, right? With a lot in it, right? But this is your house of, it's a hidden house. It is the house of release and endings, but it's a house of spiritual growth. So it's the house of where we meditate or where we retreat to heal or to understand something spiritually or to grow, right? To trust our intuition as well. It's a house of alone time. And as I said, retreat. So this can be also, it's a house of sleep. So, they say that Pisceans need a lot of sleep. We all do, but it makes sense. Pisces rules dreams as well in that 12th house, all right? Yeah, or anybody actually, kind of, yeah. Anybody who has planets in this 12th house, this is where you may need a lot of sleep, right? It is encouraging you to take time for yourself. That's also the house of taking time for yourself, being alone, right? Meditating and things like that. This can be a time to clear the slate emotionally, Aries. Could be you may need more sleep and solitude, as I mentioned. If you've been overly idealistic or hopeful about someone or something, the Virgo sun, the very practical Virgo sun, will encourage you to be more practical. And conversely, the sun in Virgo can show you where you shine at work, or can show you where you're shining in your work, or about work that you want, that you desire, or how your daily life can maybe run smoother and maybe healthier, possibly emotionally and physically as well, because that's what we're talking about with Pisces and Virgo. You might realize that certain habits, physical or emotional. Yeah, we have emotional habits. It sits here in the house of, these emotional habits sit here in the house of mental health. Yeah, and those emotional habits can be hindering us, right? They can, um, in that 12th house. Um, but emotional habits can also bring us, intuition and an awakening, of course, as well. And that's what the full moon can do, especially in that 12th house. But it can show you where maybe you might need major improvement or change to create better health, mental or physical, or the health of anything. As I was saying earlier, the health of your love life, the health of your daily routines, right? It just depends, right? That's also where the sun sits. It is the house of small pets. So maybe there's something going on there for you, Aries. And so since Mercury is ruling the sun, and it's in its own sign here, it also rules your third house of ideas. And so I talked about this in the intro, I believe, but where Mercury, go see the intro, please, if you haven't seen it. But Mercury is making a square to Uranus, right? And this is asking you to embrace change about the way you think about something, because this is the third house of thinking where Mercury also rules. Because Mercury, which is conjoined with the sun, is ruling Virgo in the zodiac and also Gemini, right? They're sharing that, right? Sharing Mercury, if you will. So, it can be showing you that a change is needed in the way you think about your daily affairs, your work. You might need to make decisions, right? Because this is the third house of choices and decisions, and it will be about embracing change or doing something better, because Virgo wants that, number one, doing something the right way, and it does, refining things. But over here, Uranus is about change and innovation. It sure is. It can be about your independence as well. That may be the case. Maybe you want to work independently because the sun is in your sixth house. That could be the case, right? Yeah. Yeah, that definitely could be. And that is also, where Mercury is ruling Aries. This is um, this is also your house of ideas and plans and goals. Yeah, and so it's making that, it's in that opposition with the full moon, of course. It could be telling you to be discerning and realistic while also trusting your intuition in Pisces, right? So that will be all about the themes that we talked about today, okay? So thank you so much for joining me here. And yes, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the little bell, and you'll be advised of my next reading. For sure you will. My next upload, if you want a reading with me, I'm going to be doing a reading online, and it'll be posted next Wednesday or Thursday, and that way you can see how I read and how valuable your own natal chart is. So thank you so much, Aries. And please make a comment. It really helps me. It does. Okay, so Taurus, I have you on the ascendant right now. If you'd like to, if you're looking at the chart or your phone, or, yeah. And so we can see the kite here a little bit better when we have you on the ascendant, right? And the kite is the apex for the kite. The kite means you can fly. It's a powerful, it's supporting you thriving, really. So it is, the apex happens to be in your fifth house of creative ideas. This is your house of self-expression, how you shine your talents. It's your house of romantic love, fun, courage, and living according to your heart, your passions, and children and entertainment. Also exercise. Yeah, exercise. All right. Recreational activities, right? Um, and the heart, right? I think I mentioned that. And so that's where the apex is, pointing right here to the sun. And of course, the top here is the pinnacle of the kite is, to the moon. Very cool there. Yes. Very fascinating with that. And there are some trines showing here. But let's talk about the eclipse itself, because if we start getting into the kite, we'll be here, we'll be here a long time. We will. So for you, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising, we have the full moon is in your 11th house, future aspirations, friends, social connections. This is social media sometimes, like-minded people, um, and collaborators, right? It's also in the house of hopes and wishes and gains from the 10th house of career, opposing the sun and Mercury, right? And Mercury is the planet of thinking. It's in Virgo. It rules Virgo and Gemini. So it's very powerful, whatever, what Mercury is trying to do there. It is trying to bring an understanding here with the full moon. The full moon's trying to bring a revelation, and the sun with Mercury is definitely trying to bring some type of clarity and some type of intelligence, for sure. That's what Mercury is, the curious and intelligent, right? Planet. So yeah, and so yeah, and that opposition is to, we talked about where the sun is. It's in that fifth house, right? Yeah. And so here, um, yeah, that is also, I hope I talked about that. Yeah, gee. Okay. But that also, that house is about children. Yeah, it's your talents, but it's also about children or situations and matters concerning children, right? That's romantic love. I think I mentioned everything there. All right. So the full moon lunar eclipse is asking you to release doubts and fears or illusions, habits or patterns of self-undoing that are hindering forward movement. Yeah, because that is the sign of Pisces, right, in your 11th house, hindering that. It can definitely be, all right. It's easy to see the kite. That's what I was saying right there with the pinnacle right here to the moon. And the North Node is involved in this. This is in your 10th house, the North Node of higher potential, fate and destiny, where you want to go, right? Evolution, is in this house of, and this is more destiny. The North Node has to do with destiny. The South Node has to do with fate, kind of the hands you've been dealt in your life or what you've inherited, okay? So we can't do anything about that. No, we can't. That's why we're always focused over here instead. But we can learn a lot of lessons with this South Node, right? It does represent the past and what limits us. So interesting here. So really, we can say too that your 10th house of career, the authority over your own life is also, yeah, and your maturity and things like that is responsibilities is also part of this. This full moon here, because the opposition is to, this is conjoined with the moon, all right? Yeah, and this fourth house has to do with your home and your family or your emotional needs. So, the moon is very emotional in Pisces, especially. So, there's something here that you need to leave behind. Um, yeah, in order to step into your true self-expression. That's part of this full moon for you. It is. And the sun is in that fifth house of courage, self-authenticity, right? So Jupiter, which is the ruler of the moon, the full moon, is in your fourth house of home and family and emotional needs. And see, it's ruling that moon. And Jupiter also rules Sagittarius, your eighth house of transformation, your eighth house of deeper knowing. So the full moon will bring you something about your deeper knowing. In other words, your intuition or your understanding of deep psychological matters, right? The eighth house is ruled by the high priestess in the tarot. It's the psychic house. So we have here the moon ruling your eighth, which is a hidden house, and ruling Pisces, which is a hidden sign. So there's a lot going on for you, and Jupiter is the ruler of the full moon in another hidden house. So you're learning something here, or it's some major type of revelation for you with the full moon, all right? Something's being revealed to you for sure. Um, yeah, and Mercury is here, right, with the sun and this south node, really. But Mercury rules your second house of self-worth. This is your house of money, your values, your personal priorities, and your well-being. This is your possessions, right? Yeah, and this is, right here ruling that we have Uranus here. So there is something going on here with, and we can actually say that there's a square going on. There is a square with Mercury, and we can see it, excuse me, right here. And I will isolate that. Here's the square to Uranus. And Uranus rules the future, really. It rules this house, sort of. And that's where the moon is here, your future aspirations, all right? Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius. But, Uranus has to do with the spiritual dimension. It has to do with the future. It has to do with innovating and unexpected change, independence, and embracing change, even, right? But there is a spiritual side to it. We can see here when we look at Uranus, it looks like an antenna. It looks like the old ones. I don't know how antennas really look today. You might not be able to see them. They could just be a little light because of technology. This also represents technology. So it's possible, there's a square from the full moon to Uranus asking you to embrace change. It can have to do with asking you to, for some of you, open up to, higher technological skills. That can be the case. That's interesting there, right? Yeah, and so Gemini also rules social media. It does, as does this 11th house. So there can be something going on there for you, Taurus, all right? Yeah, and Jupiter is also ruling your eighth house of transformation right here. I meant it rules, I mentioned that, but that's also a house of deeper knowing. I said that, a psychic ability, understanding that, right? Intuition, emotional bonds. That's that house. And joint finances, shared wealth, and other people's money, which can, it's a big umbrella, right? Um, but their money, you see, this is what I'm saying here. Um, the rulers of the full moon are also ruling your money axis, the money you make on yourself, the money you earn for yourself, and the money that you share or invest or make with other people, right? Or from other people as well. It can be like your 401ks and things like that, right? Which is sort of, so yeah. Um, but and that is ruling that eighth house, Taurus, in growth-oriented and expansive and philosophical Sagittarius, right? This is about, it can be about your beliefs too, because Sagittarius rules beliefs. And the second house has it has a little bit to do with your beliefs according to your values, right? So, the eclipse can be asking you to be true to yourself, have confidence about your future aspirations, your talents, and also with your intimate relationships, and more opportunities will come your way. Yeah, I'm pretty sure here we have this Jupiter ruling your eighth house here. This is the money house, and Mercury here, which is part of the full moon because it is conjoined with the sun, ruling your second house. So there's something here about money, but you have to embrace change for sure. You have to do that with that moon in that 11th house squaring Uranus. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much, Taurus, for joining me. If you want to get a reading with me, check out the description box below. Please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate that. Yeah, make a comment. I would really, it does help me. It does support my channel when you make comments. And I'll see you in the next one. So for Gemini, the full moon, let's put Gemini on the ascendant. Yeah, where are you, Gemini? Here you are. And the full moon is in your 10th house of career. And this is also, here we see it, right? We see it in this 10th house at the top of your chart. The top of your chart is considered to be kind of the top of your life, sort of. And what do I mean by that? Like what you have achieved, your legacy, or what you have planned, sort of long-term goals, kind of the top of your life, like your maturity and what you've worked so hard for so far, right? It's the serious house of discipline and hard work, all right? It rules your personal authority over your own life, and your ambition. This is your public image, how, or your status, and how you show yourself to the world. And the opposition, the sun is in Virgo in your fourth house of home and family, emotional needs. Here it is here, and I will isolate a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. But yeah, that sun in Virgo, which is conjoined with Mercury, the brains, basically the brains here. Is in that fourth house. This is the house of the past and family lineage as well, your emotional needs. It's a very important house. And these are your like your public needs or your professional needs. We can say that because this has to do with career and your public life or your professional life. And this has to do with your private life, your home life, or your emotional needs. All right, your family as well. This can be family and career up here. So yeah, and so um you might reach a turning point in your career, Gemini, and this is going to be for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising, all right? You may reach, a turning point in your career, your professional direction, and your public life. The eclipse can have a significant impact for your future goals and the direction your life is taking. Something you've been working on can come to fruition, or you might realize something else no longer reflects who you are, right? And since Pisces, the moon is in Pisces, it can cause some uncertainty sometimes, right? Um, yeah, you may want to watch my Saturn video, right? I have the Saturn retrograde I've just put up. That can help you, right? And Virgo can help you to see things, Gemini, from a more practical viewpoint, right? Remember, you're sharing the ruler, Mercury, both you and Virgo, all right? Um, so yeah, and Virgo rules the facts. It sure does. Virgo doesn't, it just rules the facts. It also rules problem solving and precision in details, right? You're being encouraged to trust your intuition with the Pisces full moon. Also, the full moon is, while being practical, yeah, also the full moon is in your public, we talked about that. This is the public and private life axis, right? And when we have an axis, we can see the kite here, Gemini, and we can, which means, you're able to fly or thrive, right? And the apex goes down to your fourth house of emotional needs and support. So, maybe you need to ask for support. It can show you the eclipse where your support is. It can also show you, as I was saying, um, what your emotional needs may be. You may be revealed that, right? You may be revealed something about your home and family or where you want to live as well, because that's what the opposition is always doing with the full moon or any opposition, right? When we have an axis, the second and the eighth house, is it right? But, for example, but that apex is, the axis is always asking us to merge. The opposition says, come on, put these two together and make something better. Make it better. It's almost like a collaboration, right? You can make something better if it's you and somebody else, right? Or you and a collaborator. I mean, as a rule, not all the time, right? What if they are not efficient or something like that, or competent, right? There's a whole bunch of reasons why sometimes collaborations don't work. The trines, interesting here, are in your seventh house of relationships, Gemini, partnerships, business, and clients. Yeah, this is also in Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is, under Jupiter, the ruler of the full moon. So Sagittarius is important for you. And the other side of it, the trine here is to Aries. This is your 11th house of the future. The full moon has everything. And I said that earlier. I think I did, but the full moon has a lot to do with your future aspirations. It sure does. Wow. And motivating, it's in the sign of motivating or motivated Aries. Yeah, Aries is very motivated, for sure. And so very, very cool and interesting, I would say. Yeah, and so let's get back to the full moon itself though, right? Yeah. And so let's see what else I have here. And that axis between your 10th and your 4th is asking you to find balance between, yeah, your personal and your professional life. Mercury is the ruler of the sun. I mentioned that. And Mercury is also making like a, making a sextile to your second house. And this second house is showing the IC, but it's making a actual, the IC is not really here. It's usually around the fourth house because I've moved the signs to the ascendant, the rising sign. And with this software, when you move that, it confuses the angles. So don't pay, it's not a game changer here whatsoever. Just don't pay attention to the IC, right? The ascendant and the MC, yeah, and the DC, don't, and right, you can see them down here. Okay, so getting back to this though, the sextile is to Ceres. Ceres has to do with abundance. So there's an opportunity here for you, Gemini, with the full moon, the wisdom of the full moon, for some type of opportunity regarding your self-worth, your well-being, or your finances. All right, yeah, very cool there. Um, yeah. And so Mercury is in that fourth house, but Mercury is not emotional. Remember, it rules Virgo and Gemini, and Virgo is about the facts. I said that here. So when Mercury's in the fourth house, it's saying, please don't be too emotional here. That's what it is saying. All right. Even though it has to kind of go by the fourth house, it's in Virgo. So, right. And Virgo says, hey, I'm paying attention to the details and doing something right. I'm not so worried about, my emotions, right? Not to say that Virgos cannot be emotional. We're not saying that one bit here. Um, but it's asking you to trust in your own authority. Here is the opposition to your house of personal authority and ambition. We talked about Jupiter being the ruler. Um, yeah, we did. And Jupiter is in your house right now. It's the ruler of the full moon. Jupiter is in your third house of ideas. This is your house of thinking, plans and goals. This is, um, and it's in the sign of work, right? So, maybe, you can have opportunities with the full moon can kind of bring you powerful realizations, Gemini, with ideas and therefore to create opportunities for work uh, yeah, so it's ruling the full moon, and Mercury is ruling your ideas down here in Virgo. But this Jupiter in your third house, it's in the sign of Leo. Leo is, creative expression. This can be creative ideas you could definitely walk away with here after the full moon. This is the house of, it's not the house, but the sign of love, romantic love, and children, or matters, concerning children. It's also siblings and willpower, skills, goals, willpower. And so you might want to work at home as well with that Mercury sitting in Virgo in your fourth house. You may realize you want to do that. Um, and for you, gems that are writers, podcasters, YouTubers, teachers, counselors, therapists, or anyone who works with information. Trust in your creative ideas, Gemini. All right. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining me here, Gemini. And please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell, and I'll see you in the next video. If you want a reading with me, super deep and in a word, highly helpful. Okay, that was 2 words, right? Yeah. Check out my description box below. Yeah. So let's see what we have. And remember, these are always for sun, moon, and rising. So thank you so much, Gemini. And we will move to um, Cancer. Yeah, let's put Cancer on the ascendant. All right. So Cancer, the moon is your natal luminary. So you're going to feel this. It's a full moon. It's in another water sign. There's no like, it's so highly unlikely you will not feel this, right? Yeah, it's in the intuitive, emotional sign of Pisces, so you could feel a little emotional, right? So we can see the trine right here with the right, and a trine is something supportive because it involves two signs that are from the same element, so it's powerful. All right. Now we have that trine from Mars. Mars is motivating you to do something. It's in your sign. It's in your first house of self, motivating you to do something with something that is likely related to your growth and expansion. The moon can bring you some major wisdom. It's in that house. That's also the house of higher purpose and education, long distance travel. But you definitely have to be trusting your intuition here, Cancer, because number one, you're ruled by the moon, and the moon rules intuition and dreams. And anybody tells you any dreams, pay attention to those dreams, okay? Or your own dreams, right? Of course, your own are more important, but I mean somebody close to you, right? Now, I don't mean, somebody at the store who said, had a dream that, I don't know, I married Leonardo DiCaprio, or, so you'll be like, okay, see you later, right? So, but this moon here in the ninth house, it's in an intuitive sign, and the ninth house is the house of God and religion and spirituality. It's the sign, it's the house of astrology as well, and it is. And so, yeah, that's very interesting there. So that is also the moon is, conjoined with the north node of higher purpose and destiny. I'm not saying fate where things have been handed to you, good or bad, right? A lousy hand in life. A lot of people got a lousy hand, but we're not concerned with that because that's down here, this south node. No, we can't change the past. We're concerned with this. So the moon is here. So this revelation or whatever's going on with you, full moons are culminations, endings, new beginnings. But whatever is going on with likely a powerful realization, especially in intuitive Pisces. Pisces rules the unconscious mind and mystery and fantasy and illusion and mysticism, right? And intuition, right? For sure, spiritual growth. So when we have that here, you're going to have something that's going to help you realize like something about your higher purpose or possibly how you can change your own destiny. Yeah, highly fascinating there, Cancer. Yeah, all right. So, and it is opposing the sun, excuse me, where's the sun? The moon is opposing the sun in your third house of thinking and communication. This is your house of ideas, skills, plans, and goals, early childhood and siblings. There can be something that you realize about early childhood, maybe your own. If you have kids, it could be their early childhood, possibly. Um, Also, siblings and the often familiar, like, how your day kind of, how you spend your days, sort of. It can be that. Um, that can change, definitely. Um, and Virgo does rule that anyway. Yeah, highly interesting there. Mercury is conjoined. So Mercury is a ruler of Virgo, and Mercury is the brains. It rules that third house. For you, it rules the third house, Mercury, excuse me, in the natural zodiac, which is really for Aries only, really the natural zodiac, right? But the natural chart rather, but yeah, and so Mercury is ruling that third house. It's also ruling the sun here, and Mercury's there. So it also rules Gemini, and Gemini's up here in your 12th house. The sun and the moon are showing you that you have to release something for sure and embrace change because we have Uranus here. And here's the full moon making the square. Remember, the square wants you to do something because there's some type of tension or something that's not so great or something like that. It's asking for an adjustment and for you to do something. And to, this 12th house, it has to do with release, endings. It can have to do with vices or maybe somebody else's vices, right? It can. This is the 12th house of self-undoing. It doesn't always have to be your undoing, not necessarily, right? Um, but this is the house of release, endings. It's a hidden house, so information is not always available to us. It comes to us when we most need it, like God or spirituality, the universe will show it to us when we're ready. The teacher will arrive when the student is ready. That's right, right? Not like in school where the teacher arrives and you're not ready, right? You're like, what? Um, but yeah, and so the timing, right? That's divine timing. So, the full moon can bring in some type of divine timing for you. Highly interesting there. Yeah, for sure it is. Um, and so Yeah, so we have the South Node for you, Cancer, as well. This is you're supposed to leave something behind. We already talked about the 12th house of release, right? But the South Node is here, is, it's being opposed by the moon, and the North Node up here, and it's in your second house of well-being. You have to release something that is hindering your or affecting your well-being, maybe affecting your self-worth. It could be affecting your finance. All right. Yeah, and the sun rules your second house, and here is the sun as part of the full moon, right? Every full moon is an opposition between uh, the full moon and the sun, all right? And a new moon is a conjunction or kind of an alliance with the sun and the moon, all right? Um, yeah, Leo, um, where the South Node is the sign of courage. It's the sign of living from the heart, right? Being true, and authentic. It's also the house of children. So maybe not the house, but the sign of children. Maybe there is children involved in some way, right? Because yeah, it could be. And so And so now the full moon is asking you to have courage about something, and also to be discerning with the sun in the third house, ruled by Mercury, but it's in Virgo. Virgo is discerning. Virgo wants everything to be done right. That's why some people might say they criticize because they're not. It's not criticism. I mean, yeah, in a shadow aspect, of course, everybody can be critical, but the real point of Virgo is getting the job done right, doing it as a process or a method. They're paying attention to precision. That's right. And so it's ruled by intelligent Mercury as well, right? We need discernment in our lives, right? Especially interesting because Pisces doesn't have a lot of discernment, and because it doesn't rule that. It rules intuition, creativity, it rules healing and health, and you really, fantasy, and they can make great fantasy writers, and but they can make great doctors as well. It rules the 12th house of mental health. They can also be a physical doctor as well. But Pisces is imagination. That's what it is, right? We can't live on this earth without imagination, because how would you ever manifest anything if you never have the thought, if you never imagine it, right? So yeah, so. All right. And so there, but this full moon is asking you to be discerning and have courage, and then opportunities will show up for you as well, because Jupiter is in your second house of well-being, money, resources, your values, what's important to your personal priorities. Jupiter is there. It's the ruler of the full moon, all right? So then opportunities will show up, but only, I believe, looking at this, is if you're true to yourself. Yeah. And if you are discerning, you have courage and you're trusting your intuition. There's a blend here. That's what the whole full moon opposition is about. Jupiter is protecting your growth and expansion because it rules that ninth house and your good luck, Cancer. Jupiter, the ruler of the full moon, is asking you to broaden your horizons, to gain a broader understanding of life, and to be wiser, to use that Jupiterian wisdom, all right? And since the sun is in your third, we talked about that or, house of early childhood. Children could be relevant. Your beliefs can change. You might want to teach or publish something. You may be questioning an old way of thinking, right? That sun and the moon, or not the sun and Mercury, which rules thinking, is in your third house of thinking, and ideas, right? You might have definitely new ideas. And this, sun moon, the moon opposing your house of thinking, you may have been overly hopeful about something or someone. But, that's the thing about Pisces. It can kind of be over idealistic where, things are falling down, at the foundation, at the very foundation. But Pisces can say, well, let's have hope. It can be overly idealistic when, the facts are supporting that it will never work out, right? So, yeah, so you may have been overly hopeful or optimistic about something, possibly about a person or an opportunity, a journey, or, a future possibility. Pisces can be a little naive, as I was saying, but Pisces can teach Cancer too, sometimes that learning is done through experience and intuition. Yes, rather than having everything neatly defined, right? And so, and that's kind of what Virgo is about, having everything neatly defined. And so, whatever you discover through the moon, through the full moon, Cancer, can change the way you see your future. All right. So, thank you so much, Cancer, for joining me here today. And if you want a reading with me, check out the description box. In a word, in two words, highly helpful. All right, my readings. Yeah, and please like, share, and subscribe, hit the bell, and you will be notified of my next upload. And so for Leo, and yeah, we'll move to Leo now for Sun, Moon, and Rising. Yeah, so Leo, the full moon is in your eighth house of transformation. This is your house of profound change and regeneration. It is your house of emotional bonds, finances. And when we talk about finances, it's usually shared money, shared wealth, joint finances, inheritance, even taxes, but it can be 401ks, any type, excuse me, of OPM or other people's money. This is your house of deep knowing, deep inner knowing. In other words, your intuition. And so we have here, it's in a very intuitive sign. So you're going to have some experience, some type of major revelation. You sure are. Uh, yeah, and it is in a money. It's in a money, excuse me, your money axis. And this down here, the second house where the sun is, and Mercury is, which is the brains. This is your, the money you earn by yourself. It's also your self-worth, your personal priorities, your values, and your well-being. And it is opposing, it's being opposed by the moon. The moon's doing the opposing because it is the faster, one reason is the faster moving planet, but the full moon is, doing this. Um, because the full moon, also the moons are defining the moods of the astrology, right? But that's what a month mean. It really means a month. Yeah, but this moon here, this full moon, it's in the house of other people's money. So this can have to do with money. It definitely can. All right. Now where the moon sits, Leo, it's in a hidden house. This is a hidden sign. So this is what I mean. You're likely to learn something or have a major revelation here. This full moon is also in the house of lies and secrets, anything that has been kept hidden. All right. Also of the occult, astrology, runes, psychic ability, right? Even hypnotherapy, I would consider it. Um, well, so some people might consider that the occult, but anything of the subconscious mind is, or the unconscious mind, whatever you want to call it, is Pisces for sure, and the eighth house as well. Yeah, very cool. Pisces is a little different, but trust me, that eighth house there is super intuitive for you. For a lot of Leos, could be psychics for sure. They could with that eighth house in Pisces. All right, and this can be emotional healing, that eighth house as well. It's a very emotional house, yeah. And that also, that's the house also of fears and doubts and old resentments. So it's possible here that, you're going to drop an old resentment and, the full moon can show you that, right? Um, yeah, and so, um, yeah, and Mercury is the ruler of the sun. And it's also, it's the ruler of Virgo as well. So this is super empower and it's in Virgo. So this is really powerful here. Yeah, it definitely is. It's also the ruler of Gemini, which is your 11th house of future aspirations. This is your house of hopes and wishes, gains. It's all from the 10th house of career. It's also um, your house of social engagements or friends, right? Friends and collaborators. This is a house of social media as well. All right. And Mercury does rule social media down here. So there can be something going on there for you as well, Leo. All right. You are an entertainer by, creative by nature. So for some of you guys, there can be something going on here that has to do with your money, maybe, right? That also has to do with social media, work here, or your ideas for the future. It definitely can be, right? Um, Yeah, and also the internet. That's a possibility because we have Uranus, which rules the internet, and it isn't, or social technology, social media. It's here in and change in your 11th house. It is getting a square from the full moon and a square from the sun. Yeah, wow. So change is definitely coming to you, Leo. Excuse me. All right. And so that sun with Mercury in Virgo, it's asking you to be more discerning about who you trust, about your emotional bonds, about the people that you let into your life that are, close to you or intimate, and shared resources. A debt can be resolved conversely, right? But the eclipse can encourage you to see where you may be holding on to an old resentment. We talked about that, or an old fear that may be affecting your well-being or your finances. You may be asking yourself, Leo, if you're giving too much or not giving enough. That can be the case in a relationship, or if you may be taking on somebody else's burden, because that's like the eighth house here, right? Yeah, and this has to do with what you earn yourself, and yeah, and what you earn, or your emotional or people who are close to you. This is more of the self, and this is your relationships, right? Or people who are close to you, even business partners for sure. Um, and you could be taking on somebody else's emotional burden, especially with the full moon in that eighth house in Pisces, right? And the eclipse can encourage you to take a closer look at what you share, your money, your energy, right? And it's right next to, also, Jupiter is the ruler of the full moon, Leo. It's in your sign, so it could be asking you kind of, uh, you know, um, yeah, it can be asking you if you are kind of, just take a closer look at your money, your energy, your emotional resources, and your trust, because Jupiter is here ruling the full moon, but it's in the sign of love, and that is you, the heart, right? So, and also pay attention what belongs to you and what belongs to someone else. Jupiter is the full moon. You're definitely going to feel this. It rules the full moon, rather. Um, you're going to feel the eclipse, Leo. You are. Jupiter is encouraging you to act with wisdom and integrity, and to look beneath the veil in order to understand something at a very deep level. Okay. So thank you so much, Leo, for joining me. If you've liked my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell. You'll be notified of my next upload. I'm talking like a Gemini rising right here with my hands. If you want a reading with me, they're super deep. Yeah, and the moon is in a very deep house for you. But in 2 words, highly helpful. Yeah, my readings. So yeah, but please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell. Yeah, and you'll get notified of my next upload. I may have said that. I'm going a little fast here. I'm a fire sign just like you. Let's move on. Leo, we're going to move on to Virgo now, and thank you so much. All right, so Virgo, here we have you on the ascendant, and the full moon is in your seventh house of partnerships and marriage. Now, when I say partnerships, it can be business and clients. This is your house of, or romantic, right? This is your house of how you create harmony and balance in your life. One-on-ones, like I said, clients, right? Can be coaching even because of the one-on-ones. Also opponents, people or things that don't agree with, or you don't agree with them. And legal matters. A legal matter can be resolved now, Virgo, or initiated. All right. And the full moon is in your house of the self. Uh, it's in the, not the house, it's in the sign of the self. Wait, hold on a second. The full moon is in your seventh house of relationships. The sun and your own Mercury are in your sign, or your first house of self. All right. Little note problem, little note error here. Um, yeah, um, and so the eclipse will make relationships the major focus, the major theme, Virgo. There can be a turning point, a culmination, or an emotional realization. Why do I say emotional? Because Pisces is emotional, as is the moon. All right. Yeah. There can be an emotional revelation or in an important relationship, you might see or understand your partner more clearly than you have before. You may have been hoping something would change or improve, or maybe you've been a little too hopeful or idealistic about a relationship. The Pisces Virgo axis asks you to find a balance between acceptance and discernment. So we don't want to be, really with the Pisces. I hope you watch the intro, but with the Pisces, and Pisces is very trusting and sometimes naive because it's so hopeful and idealistic, right? It's positive, very positive in that way, but it can be a little naive. And so it rules a hidden house, right? Pisces is a hidden sign, really. But also, it rules a hidden house in the zodiac, but also, and then we have Virgo over here. Virgo, your sign, right, is can sometimes you guys are a little bit too discerning. Like you start weighing the pros and the cons just a little bit too much. We have to trust our intuition while being practical at the same time, right? You're not going to say something silly like, I'm trusting my intuition. $1 million is going to come to my door tomorrow. I mean, if that works out for you, let me know, right? For sure. But we have to be, also we can't be that naive or, but we have to be discerning as well, but just not overly discerning because it can create worry, right? And, it can, all right? So, but we have to be able to, discern between acceptance and discernment, right? And since the eclipse is in Pisces, I can have you a little confused between compassion and self-sacrifice. Yeah, because that's what Pisces is about, right? And Pisces often blurs the lines. It represents the sea, right? The ocean where there are no boundaries, it's blurry, right? And this can, also mark the beginning of a new relationship, Virgo, as well, or a relationship can change, helping you to clarify what each person needs to encourage honesty. All right. Yeah. And also, the full moon can also raise questions about how much you're willing to compromise. Yeah, this is the seventh house of compromise because it means, it can mean, it wants harmony and balance, right? It's the house of Libra in the natural chart, which is the zodiac, right? Um, and so, business partners, clients, and contracts, and one-on-one interactions can become the focus as well. And so for you, Virgo, open your eyes about your relationship, keep your heart open, but but at the same time, don't allow uh, hope or compassion to override your discernment, all right? A healthy relationship always needs acceptance and boundaries. Yeah, both. So thank you so much, Virgo, for joining me here today. And if you liked my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell, and you'll be notified of my next upload. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. And if you want a reading with me, two words, highly helpful, seriously. So you can get a reading. Check out the description box below. Go to my website, right? Yeah, I'll be doing a chart next week on Wednesday. Haven't decided the time. I'll be posting it so you can see how I read. And you will see all the empowering and helpful information that you get from your own natal chart, right? All right, so let's move on here. And we're going to move to Libra, lovely Libra, and they are, yes, this is going to be for Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Why do I say that? Venus is the ruler, yes, and I have a family. I come from a family of Libra, and they are all lovely. Yes, they're all lovely, and the men sometimes can be a little preppy or pretty boys, sort of. They have this kind of class, kind of this kind of good looks in this kind of male Venus way. Yeah, they do. All right, I told my friend that, and I don't think she liked it because I said something about her son kind of had a pretty boy, maybe she didn't like it. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on here. So Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising, the eclipse is emphasizing your sixth house of work. And here is the eclipse, right? This is your sixth house of work. This is service and work as well. They're not the same, right? This is also health habits, because it's a house of health and routines. It's health and wellness, your daily routines, how healthy your daily lifestyle is. That's the sixth house. It's a house of responsibilities and the way you manage your time and your energy. All right. This could be a time for some Libras where you realize your life isn't working as well as it could. And the moon is opposing the sun in your 12th house of endings and relationships. So you may be aware there's a need to let go of something. Yeah. So let's look at the wheel right now and where we see, yeah, okay, where we see, the full moon here. Yeah, the sun is in your 12th house with intelligent Mercury. I'm going to step away for just a second, you guys, as I speak, because I have to turn on this air conditioning or I might faint during the reading. Yeah, it's very hot here and just kind of progressively, right? Just kind of automatically hot. So, yeah, Mercury is the brains and it is the ruler of Virgo. It's in Virgo. So it means it's very powerful there. And it's next to the sun, which is trying to bring clarity about something. That's what full moons really are. And also, it is, um, it's in your 12th house, Libra, of, endings and release. That's where it's at. So, this full moon is going to ask you to release something. It sure is. All right. So here we go. And here I am uh back to the chart. So here is Mercury, and it is also, excuse me, in your 12th house of endings. This is your 12th house of endings and release and surrender. So what does that mean, surrender? It means that sometimes we need to let go of something and just surrender to God's will or surrender to the universe, surrender to your inner knowing, which is your intuition. And this full moon is all about your intuition because it's in intuitive Pisces. All right. Yes. Thank you for having Pisces on this earth. All right. Um, so, here we have Mercury, which is the ruler in that 12th house, and Libra, Mercury is ruling your ninth house of growth and expansion. It's also your ninth house of wisdom, education, higher purpose. Yes, it is. So, yeah, and what's meaningful to you? And so there is a square from this Mercury, right, which is ruling the sun. And right, this is it's a Pisces full moon, but it's also Mercury is, very much part of this, right? Well, we always have the opposition between the sun and the moon. So we have Mercury here and the sun making a sextile to this series in your 10th house of personal authority and ambition. There's an opportunity for you to bring some type of abundance, either regarding family, it's in Cancer, or maybe regarding career, but you have to be able to see something or understand something, and the full moon can help you do that, right? Now, over here, this square is to Uranus. You have to embrace change regarding something, right? It's, maybe it's work here because this is your sixth house of work. This can also have to do with your also your mental health or your well-being, all right? Because the sun is and Mercury are in your 12th house of mental health. Yeah, it is. That's, right. We all need mental health. Yes, we do. Good thing they still say it matters, right? In a way, right? But here we have this moon down here in the sixth house of health as well. And the moon is here next to the north node of higher potential and destiny, not fate, what, have already been kind of given. And, this is what you were given at birth and all this. I mean, where free will is involved. All right, destiny. So here you have your moon, and it is conjoined with this north node in your fifth house of authenticity, being true to who you are, living a life of passion, what a life you enjoy, actually working on your creative talents or showing the world kind of who you really are. It can be that. It's also that it's a house of creative pursuits, self-identity. It's also about children and romantic love. So there could be something you learn here, right? Definitely with the full moon. But it is definitely asking you to release something, embrace change. Yeah, it sure is. All right. And so, and that 12th house, Libra rules self-sacrifice. Yeah, and don't do that, right? And with Mercury there, it's telling you there's something about that something you need to let go of that is not good for you, for your health. It's in the house and it is opposing this house of health. These are for you, the full moon, Libra, and the sun, of course, are opposing one another in the health axis. Yeah, I didn't mention that, right? So this sun, I mean, this moon is in the house of physical health. I did mention health, but the sun is in the house of mental health. Yeah. So this is the house of fears and illusions and anxiety, right? Yeah, anxiety lives in the house of mental health. It sure does. The flip side of that house, where the sun is and intelligent Mercury, positive, a curious Mercury, is intuition and healing, compassion, and spiritual growth. So, we have something good in every house. Of course we do. It always represents the higher perspective, right? Where we want to be, right? And then we also have the shadow aspect of each house, for sure, and each sign, right? And that's what the chart is trying to bring wisdom to us, and so we can reach our higher potential. Yeah, the chart's not just here to talk about your own natal chart, okay? Can really help you, empower you to stand in your best, be your best self. It really can. It shows you a lot about these hidden houses and what you need to release. It's rich. So Mercury, as I said, is asking you to release something, right? It's in that 12th house. But Mercury is um, ruling Gemini. We talked about that, your ninth house. And we talked about the square here. You have to embrace some type of doing something different, innovation. That's what Uranus is about. All right. It also has to do with your independence. Maybe this has to do with technology. It can. Maybe you have to learn something about technology here. It's a possibility here because the full moon is in your sixth house of work. So maybe it's asking you to learn something about technology that can help you grow and expand, Libra, right? I just talked to a Libra. This is months ago, but she was telling me she was taking some, a computer class, right? Yeah. So it can be about that. The ninth house rules education. It sure does. And Mercury rules thinking and your goals and your skills. Yeah. So also, Mercury could be asking you to be smarter, so you can, be smarter how you move forward. If you're giving too much and you're self-sacrificing, Virgo, the sun in Virgo, will encourage you not to do that, to be more practical and discerning, while Pisces is encouraging you to trust your intuition, right? But avoid being overly compassionate, Libra, and not attending to your own emotional needs, because the eclipse is happening in your health axis, all right? Um, and Jupiter is the ruler of the full moon, and it's ruling your third house of ideas and thinking, right? Your goals, your skills. Exactly right. And also Sagittarius is ruling your philosophy. So if Sagittarius is ruling your philosophy and your beliefs, yeah, and so in essence, um, yeah, the full moon is also, when we talk about the signs, not the houses, the full moon and the sun is ruling Gemini here, right? Mercury, and the full moon is ruled by Jupiter. This is the intellectual axis, all right? So, yeah, okay. So you could also be, it's also a possibility here that in your kind of in your own environment, your daily schedule can change, Libra. It can with this, but you also could be realizing something about your immediate environment that you don't want anymore, right? Yeah, or something that's no longer worth your time. So responsibilities can ease up as well. It's a possibility. If you're trusting your intuition, really, and if you're being discerning at the same time, that's kind of what the opposition is saying, right? Of course, not kind of, that's what it's saying. That's what the opposition wants. It wants us to do something. It wants us to merge, right? The better qualities of each sign and each house, really, right? And there can be a tendency to go with the flow, sometimes because the emotion down here where the moon is also about your emotional health itself and your body. It's also the mind. It is here in that sixth house of health. It can be reminding you of something that is draining you, Libra. Yeah, because maybe you are going too much with the flow. Pisces likes to go with the flow, sometimes to the point of self-undoing. Yeah, forget that, right? Yeah. And it's in the house of service. So you could be doing too much that is draining you. There could be a tendency to over accommodate when that moon is in the sixth house in Pisces. All right. Jupiter is the ruler of the full moon. We talked about that. And it is also, yeah, Jupiter is here and it is in, Leo. It's in self-expressive Leo, romantic Leo, but this is the house of the heart, what makes you happy. And also that's your 11th house of future aspirations. So, we talked about, skills and things like that, but this Jupiter this is asking you basically to, live according to your heart. That can be the message here as well. All right. Jupiter, the ruler of the full moon. Yeah, it's in that courageous Leo. And Leo talks about being true to your heart, right? And enjoying your life. Yeah, right. It's in the 11th house. It's in that 11th house of friends. It's possible you're going to learn some friends are not really your friends. That's a possibility too. Right? You could have also, the full moon can show you something that you need to release, and then opportunities can open up for you so you can move forward. Right? And especially as Jupiter rules your third house of skills and goals, right? And so, yeah. And Jupiter is asking you to be wise moving into the future. You might have different beliefs, Libra, and you might approach friendships and relationships wiser, also relationships with your children. So, yeah, don't bend over backwards for the kids. I mean, if they're little, it's fine. But, I talked to a Libra just a while ago and I said, stop. They're big now. Okay. They're big. Okay. Let it go. Right. Yeah. Okay. So let's see what we have now. Thank you so much, Libra, for joining me here today. I appreciate you. I do. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell. You'll be notified of my next upload. If you want to get a reading with me, 3 words: highly helpful and highly empowering. Yes, my readings. So the description, I have my website in the description box. That was 4 words, right? Yeah. And so here we have Scorpio. So Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. Let's move to you, Scorpio. And here we have you on the ascendant. Yes, we do. All right. So the full moon, the lunar eclipse, is in your 5th house of self-expression, uh, self-authenticity, being true to your heart, romantic love, children, your talents, hobbies, fun, and entertainment. Yeah, and this, yeah, okay. So this is the house of the heart, and as what I said, right? Also, but what makes you happy? So we see the full moon making an opposition to your 11th house, Scorpio, and this is your 11th house of future aspirations. This is your house of friends and social connections, like-minded people or groups. Yeah, it's also your house of hopes and wishes, right, for the future. And it has to do with your gains from the 10th house of career. All right. Your 10th house is ruled by the sun. It's in your 11th house. So this can definitely be about the authority that you take over your own life or your career, your ambition. It can be about that, right? Um, yeah, interesting. All right. So, but the sun is bringing you a level of clarity because it is conjoined with intelligent Mercury, the planet of intelligence, about your future. Yeah, about the future. As I said, it can be about like-minded people. You might feel somebody or a relationship no longer pleases you. That's a possibility. No longer pleases you or makes you happy. The 11th house rules independence as well. And the full moon is in your house of happiness. Is in your, no, the full moon, yeah, is in your house of happiness down here. And this is what I mean about, it's also in the house of romantic love, right? I think, did I talk about that? I feel like I did. Yeah, I did. It's in the house of romantic love, opposing your 11th house of like-minded people. This is why I'm saying it's possible here. You could meet somebody and have a brand new relationship. You could, but you could realize that somebody is kind of like, they're just not on the same page as you anymore. You might be doing that. If you've been wondering or about where a relationship may be going, the full moon can illuminate that for you. Yeah, it can be the beginning of a brand new, meaningful relationship because, Jupiter is about what's meaningful for you, and it is ruling that fifth house of love, romantic love, right? Yeah, interesting there. Okay, so, um, yeah, and also Pisces in the fifth can make you very idealistic, hoping things that could or would have developed into something wonderful. You might see things more realistically because that's what Virgo wants. Virgo wants us to pay attention to the facts. Yeah, I had a conversation with a Virgo one time and I asked a question about something kind of in the future or something. And right away, Denise, it's a process. So, they are about the facts and doing things right and the details. So it's discerning sign. So, but, you might see things more from a practical viewpoint, that things are not maybe what you hoped, because that's what Pisces does. It kind of over idealizes things. The full moon can also help you connect with your creativity, where a creative, artistic, or writing project can develop. That's a possibility. It can also show you something about your money here, Scorpio, because Jupiter is ruling your second house of money and well-being. And we have, interesting here, we have the sun making a trine. Yeah, we can say that, we can say Mercury also is making a trine to this Lilith in your second house of self-worth and well-being and money, your relationship with money sometimes. But to Lilith, it's asking you to leave behind some type of shadow aspect or some type of relationship, possibly your relationship with money that may not be as, healthy as you need it to be. Yeah, that's a possibility here. But the trine here is asking you to kind of like leave something behind that might be able to bring you more money or your well-being that can, right? Jupiter rules opportunities and it's ruling that second house of money, but you have to leave some or be able to see something, a shadow aspect about yourself. Yeah, you do. It's in that second house. All right. It can be about your philosophy even because Sagittarius rules philosophy. All right. But this is connected to the full moon because we have the sun and we have the sun and Mercury, the planet of intelligence, making that trine. All right. Yeah, and so we have also, yeah, and so you might realize something as well. Um, yeah, it's possible you might realize something about a child, yeah, or maybe your own childhood, Scorpio, that is significant. And please remember to enjoy yourself and have fun. Whatever happens, you're being encouraged to make more time for your own happiness, all right, and your joy. Okay, thank you so much for joining me, Scorpio. If you like my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell, and you will be notified of my next upload. If you want a reading with me, I have, 4 words for my readings. They're very helpful and very empowering. Yes, they are. Is that 4 words? Yes, it is. All right, so let's move on now to Sagittarius. Thank you so much, Scorpio, for joining me. You're going to feel this because the full moon is in another water sign. OMG. Yeah, you are. So, yeah. So let's move on now to Sagittarius. And oh yeah, this is going to be for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And also, I just want to, kind of declare this. I'm going to be putting up a reading next Wednesday. I will be doing a reading online. So it'll either be live or videotaped, or taped. I haven't decided that yet, but you will be able to see how cool my readings are. Yeah, and how in depth and, how empowering they are. Okay, so eye-opening and empowering for sure. So let's move now. We have you, Sagittarius, on the full moon, or on the ascendant, rather. And interesting here, we can see the grand trine right here showing up. There is a kite in this. It's hard to see the kite, from, when we have you on the ascendant, but we can see the grand trine. Grand trine, very interesting there. Yeah. And interesting about this trine is that the Sun and Mercury are trining, which is very important, are trining your first house, actually trining Lilith. Yes, making it easier for you to leave behind. The full moon will show you, reveal something to you that will help you leave behind a shadow aspect of your personality. You can't beat that. No, you can't, right? This is how we thrive when we are able to understand our shadow and face it and move into the light, right? So the eclipse, Sagittarius, is in your fourth house. This is an emotional house. It's a hidden house, and it's in a hidden sign. So yeah, so you could be a dream here that can help you realize something. It can. Pisces rules dreams, and so does the fourth house. Okay. So yeah, and so that fourth house is in your house of home and family, emotional needs, the past, and family lineage, right? Can be past lives as well. All right. And for those of you who believe in it, it's a real thing. I've done past life readings. Because I'm certified, I've done plenty of them, and it is exactly, it shows you, it's the real deal. That's, you'd have to see one to, or get one to understand that it is the real deal, and that can help you a lot, right? There's healing, right? Past life regression healing. So the full moon is opposing the Sun, Sagittarius, in Virgo, in your 10th house of career and ambition, personal authority, your public image, and how you show yourself to the world. This is your house of long-term goals and your status as well, achievement. This is a house where you mature and you're thinking about things down the line. It can be a house of retirement as well. It can be. Or promotions, because it talks about authority and ambition. But this for you, Sagittarius, is on the axis, which is between your private life, your home life, and your professional life, or your career, or your public life. That is the axis it's on. And it's in also it's in the signs of the health. Yeah, and I said that if you were watching the intro, I think pretty sure I mentioned that. This is Virgo is the mental, the physical health, and Pisces rather is the mental health or the intuition, and this is the logic over here. We can say that, right? We can say Virgo rules the conscious mind, right? Okay, I'm going to walk over there and do that. I'm going to study psychology or whatever. And but psychology is really of the unconscious mind. Yes, it is. And then we have the moon ruling, Pisces is the unconscious mind. It's your intuition. All right. So it's your dreams, it's your spiritual growth, it's your healing, it's your psychic ability as well. All right. But yeah, and the moon is conjoined Sagittarius with the north node of higher potential. Here's the moon, and it is conjoined with with this higher potential. No, this is also destiny, and destiny is the free will that we use to get somewhere, right? It's not fate. Fate is different. Fate's over here with the south node. Fate is what we can't help, what we were given, right? Born, I look like this. My mother is, Norwegian. My father is this. That's fate, sort of. Or, I was born into a family of, excuse me, of immigrants rather, or, all kinds of fate, right? Or I was born with this kind of sensitivity, health sensitivity. That's all fate, right? Now, here we have this, and this North Node is in your third house of ideas, your third house of learning and thinking, communication, skills, goals, also willpower, and conversations and communications, decisions, the mental house. So you and Jupiter is your ruler, right? Jupiter's ruling this, this node, not this node, but the full moon. So you're going to be feeling this because Jupiter is ruling the full moon, right? It's kind of almost like your full moon, but it's really Pisces, all right? Let's not try to take anything away from Pisces. They're too nice, all right? At least the ones I know, right? So, and so we have rules compassion, right? It does. So, we have this here though, but for me, um, you're going to have some type of opportunities here. I believe you are to kind of reach your higher potential here. Now, this is ruling your fourth house of emotional well-being as well, and your first house, right? You have to leave some type of shadow thing behind here. Something about your shadow side, Sagittarius, you have to see it, confront it, and let it go and move into the light because the sun and Mercury both, which are trying to show you something as well, because Mercury rules the brains and the sun is clarity here about yourself. There's a trine here, and I talked about the grand trine coming in to the reading, right? Yeah. Let's see what else I have for you here. All right. And the full moon is also not the full moon, but Jupiter is the ruler of the full moon. And Jupiter is in Leo here in your ninth house of growth and expansion. Yeah, see that? Yeah, Jupiter is ruling, not Jupiter, it's in your ninth house of growth and expansion. This is your house of opportunities, good luck, education, higher purpose, long distance travel, but it is highly associated with your growth and your expansion and what is meaningful to you. Also, yeah, what is meaningful to you and what brings purpose to you. All right, so it's there and it's in the sign of love, of authenticity. It is associated with the sun right here, right? The sun is ruling your ninth house. So it's all relative here. Yeah, about your opportunities, but there's has to do something with your own authenticity, right? And your authority over your own life. So, for me, this is kind of saying here that yeah, that you're gonna be learning something. Yeah, you definitely are. And so we have Mercury ruling that 10th house of authority, something that will help your career or bring you opportunities, right? It also has to do with managing your emotional needs and your kind of your professional life. There is that opposition there asking you to do that. Um, but it can also be saying that if you act from the heart, you can bring more opportunities to you. You may have a major revelation here about your career that can actually help you help kind of, support your emotional needs or maybe more time, with your home and family. That can be the case there too. All right. Now, Mercury is also ruling Sagittarius, your seventh house of relationships. Yeah, because that's what Mercury is doing there. It's making a square to Uranus. Uranus wants change, and so does the square. So this is your house also, not of partnerships here, but your house of marriage, harmony and balance. Also, business and clients, one-on-ones, opponents or people or situations that don't agree with you. And the eclipse can help you release something from your past. It's in your fourth house of the past that can help you bring more emotional grounding or simply bring more peace in your life. You have got to embrace change over here because that's what the square is doing there. You might realize that you want to move, or you may decide how you want to live. In other words, you might understand something about your emotional needs or something that supports your emotional foundation. Yeah, and so you might have idealized somebody in your family. That's a possibility, or hoped that they would be different or become the person that you want them to become. So the eclipse can help you accept that something about the past that is either related to your emotional needs or your family or a family member possible. You might realize something about them. You could be giving somebody a break here. That's what you could be doing, sort of. But excuse me, the eclipse can help you to be more discerning So you can feel more at home with yourself. And so that can support your emotional foundation. Yeah, we talked about the square to Uranus in Gemini. In your house of partnerships, we were just talking about that. It's asking you potentially to be more forgiving, Sagittarius, or to embrace change, to allow more harmony and balance into your life. All right. So thank you so much, Sagittarius, for joining me here. If you want a reading with me, check out the description box below. 4 words, highly helpful and highly empowering. Yes. And hit the little bell. You'll be notified of my next upload. Thank you so much. Make a comment. It really helps the channel when you do that. And I'll see you in the next one. All right. Thank you so much. And we're going to move to Capricorn. Here you are, Capricorn. All right. Capricorn is the sign of achievement. That's right. Authority and ambition. That's right. So the eclipse is for you, Capricorn, well, for everybody, but it is part of the larger Virgo-Pisces eclipse cycle going into 2027. So it's happening in your 3rd house, and we see it here of communication, thinking, your ideas, your plans, and your goals, learning. It's a big house, anything to do with the mind, writing and paperwork, also social media, some of the 3rd house, right? Because it's anything cerebral, really. It's a social house as well. And this is anything to do with information, siblings and neighbors, short trips, and the way you kind of interpret your immediate world. Right, which kind of has to do with the familiar, how you get to, I don't know, how you get to the gym every day, or how you kind of, move around in your familiar environment. It can be that. And so the eclipse will likely bring a revelation, Capricorn, a realization, a conversation, or an ending that you've been analyzing, or maybe an ending about something you've been analyzing for a good while. You might suddenly understand that what somebody really meant with a comment, right? That 3rd house is the house of comments and information, or why a particular conversation maybe bothered you, or you could realize information that has been missing, sort of, or maybe it makes itself available to you because the moon brings revelations, and Pisces is a hidden sign, right? The unconscious mind. Yeah. You might also realize that a relationship possibly has run its course. That's a possibility. Jupiter right now is in Leo. Jupiter is the ruler of the full moon. That's your 8th house of emotional bonds and intimacy. It's also your 8th house of transformation and the money that you share with other people. Joint finances or shared wealth could be about a business as well. But that's the 8th house of deep inner knowing. So it's bringing you some information here. For sure it is. It's also for you, Capricorn, in the intellectual axis. Okay, I don't know if I mentioned that coming in. All right, which is, yeah, the intellectual access, right? Learning, higher purpose, education, teaching, things like that. Yeah, it is. And Jupiter rules that, rules the, Pisces. It also rules the 9th house in the Zodiac. So that's why this is it's Jupiter and Gemini, the learning in the Zodiac, the natural chart. But Jupiter's here. It's in romantic Leo, but Leo's also, enjoying our life, and also, romantic, right? So you might realize something about a relationship, Capricorn. All right. I don't want to think that this is for Sagittarius. It's not. I just got, no, it's definitely for Capricorn. And you might also, you might have been, Capricorn, accepting, you might realize where you were accepting somebody else's version of reality, and you're like, oh no, right? You could be doing that. The eclipse will help you to see the truth and release old narratives. And that 8th house where Jupiter is in, right? Jupiter rules the eclipse here in Pisces. Jupiter rules both Pisces and Sagittarius. Yeah, interesting. We also have the Sun and Mercury making the trine to your 12th house of endings and release. But Yeah, you're going to release old narratives or old scripts and thought processes that may have been running in the background and the background of your mind, because Pisces can be the background. It can be the unconscious mind where you don't see things, all right? And this is the house of the mind. It sure is. Some type of communication, possibly, can change your understanding of something. You might want to stop, like, kind of over explaining yourself. A secret can be revealed, that Jupiter's in the eighth house of secrets. And also, since the full moon is conjoined with the north node of higher potential in future-oriented Aquarius in your second house of self-worth and money, this is your your second house of personal priorities, resources, your possessions, and finance. Whatever is learned will likely be in your best interest. Yeah, that's good to know, right? And we talked about Jupiter doing that. Jupiter's also, Jupiter's role here. Jupiter is also ruling your 12th house of endings and release. You need to see something about your shadow here, Capricorn. Not just you, the whole world, all right? So don't think I'm picking on you, right? No, definitely not. It's actually in my sign here, right? But you need to see something about you, and it's making it easy for you to do that. The trine is a supportive trine, letting you understand something. Jupiter's ruling that 12th house that is hidden, right? Which is, it can mean revelations in itself. So this is spiritual growth. It's also a house of self-sacrifice, all right? And self-undoing and, just kind of, self-sacrifice where you're being overly compassionate to somebody. You might see that and you're like, oh, no, dude, I'm not doing that anymore. Right? And, it is to your ninth, from your ninth house of growth and expansion, ruled by Mercury. Mercury is showing you that. Yeah, it definitely is very interesting. Mercury also rules your sixth house of work, and this is your sixth house of your health. This can be health and wellness, because that's really what the axis is. Virgo and Pisces are about your health. I think I mentioned that the mental and uh the mental being Pisces and the physical being Virgo. It can be merging those, right? Yeah, it can be, because the mind-body connection it's there. Anybody who thinks that your subconscious mind is separated from your physical body is, no, sorry, it doesn't work like that, right? I mean, they might have tried to say that 100 years ago, but we know now, right, that that's not true. Or that's, we know that, right? So, but you're likely, also, you could be with the square here. Mercury is asking you to embrace change. It has to do with, either your job or your health and wellness, your daily routines, or, kind of how you're running your daily life. It can, or even small pets, but that's sixth house. But there's something kind of, it's asking you to be smarter, because it's in the house of growth and expansion, and asking you to adjust something regarding those sixth house themes. Yeah, very interesting. And, Uranus is associated with Aquarius, and Aquarius is your second house, where the North Node is, with your money and your well-being. All right. This is a house of well-being as well, because it has to do with your health routines and things like that. You might have to do some exercise, maybe. It could be that simple with that square there, right? Now, yeah. All right. So, and Jupiter is going to be in your eighth house, right? For another year almost, until next July, I believe, in romantic Leo, in creative and self-expression and courageous and authentic Leo. It's going to be there for a while. So yeah, and the sun is actually conjoined with that south node in Leo, asking you, it's important for you to move away from things, and from some things, to make room for growth and expansion. Also, to leave behind things that don't bring you any joy or happiness. Yeah, things of the past that, yeah, because it's in, the sign of Leo. Yeah, it can be asking you to move away from people, romantic partners here that that just don't that limit you. It can be asking you that as well, for sure, with that there. Um, yeah, and so the eclipse may show you where you're wasting your time, Capricorn, or something just is not supporting your well-being as it relates to your daily life. Yeah, I mentioned that. And it will help you learn something very important, Capricorn, that will help you close a chapter, helping you to live according to your own voice and your own heart. That's right. All right. So thank you so much, Capricorn, for joining me here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell to be notified of my next upload. Make a comment. I love comments for sure. I'm reading them. And also, if you want a reading with me, I have 3 words: highly helpful and empowering. Was that 4? Okay, maybe 4. So we're going to move to Aquarius now. I will be doing a chart next week on Wednesday. I haven't decided the time, but it will be, you know, of course, either live or recorded, but I'll be showing you how much they can help you, how deep they are. Yeah, and it's, yeah. So let's move to Aquarius. Aquarius, the full moon is in your 2nd house of self-worth and also self-worth, excuse me, is in your 2nd house of self-worth, personal priorities, well-being, values, and finance. All right. Opposing the sun and Mercury, very curious and intelligent Mercury in Virgo, in your 8th house of transformation. So if you're looking at your phone, you can see this, or your tablet or whatever, you can see this. It's highly fascinating to look at that. It is. And so this is your house of emotional bonds, deep inner knowing, like your intuition, right? What has been hidden from you. Yeah, and also joint finances, shared wealth, and other people's money. So that's a big umbrella. It could be the money, a 401k, inheritance, taxes even, or the money you make with your partners, a lot of OPMs, right? This is the financial axis for you, Aquarius. So you might be be revealed about something about your own money, or the money that you kind of share with somebody else, right? It could be a partner, it doesn't necessarily have to be, all right? Yeah. And it's in the financial axis, but it's in the according to the houses, but according to the signs, it is the health, mental and physical, all right? And this is also, yeah, it's about your money and your well-being. The eclipse can ask you what makes you feel secure or stable, that 2nd house of well-being, and also what you're willing to give your energy to, right? Yeah, exactly, because this house is what we want to share, or, you know, kind of invest in other people, and over here it's for yourself, but it's what you value as well, right? Yeah, and so also what you may Aquarius, what you may no longer be willing to pay for, interesting, financially, emotionally, or energetically. Something can change regarding finances, right? You could receive money you've been waiting for. That's a very cool thing. Yeah, and the moon is opposing the sun and Mercury, intelligent and curious Mercury, um, right? And this is in your 8th house. We talked about the 8th house. Mercury is ruling that. Mercury is also ruling your 5th house of self-expression, being true to your heart, what's passionate for you, your talents, right? Self-expression, and, you know, also your hobbies, but also romantic love and what makes you happy, right? This is the house of children, you know, matters that concern children, and fun and entertainment. What makes your heart kind of sing, right? And that's what Mercury is ruling here. So yeah, so there can be something going on there as well. And we also have this square to your own Uranus. I talked about that in the intro. Always watch the intro because you understand the horoscopes better. But this square here is asking you to embrace change, that has to do with these 5th house matters that I was talking about. Yeah, to embrace change, it can be in the way you think about these 5th house matters as well. All right. This can be creative ideas. Gemini rules ideas, in order for you to move forward and flourish, right? Because Uranus is related to the spiritual dimension, but it's also related to technology and innovation. Yeah. So, and it is in, smart Gemini here. Um, yeah. And the sun is, yeah. So we also have Jupiter here. Jupiter is the ruler of the full moon. It's also ruling Sagittarius, your 11th house of the future. So this has a lot to do with the future, the full moon. It sure does, right? And you guys are future oriented, so you will love that, right? Um, yeah, and we also have here, we have the sun, and it is conjoined with the south node. This is relationships. It's in romantic Leo, self-expressive Leo. There's something about your ideas here or what you want to create or your talents as well. That could be going on here with the full moon, right? But the sun is conjoined with this south node. It's asking you to kind of let something go here, this culmination or this powerful realization that has to do with either your relationships or what brings you harmony and balance, because the full moon is in your house of well-being. It can have to do with your talents, not your talents, but relationships or clients, business, one-on-ones as well, because it's in that house. But it's asking you to move away from something that is limiting your well-being or your finances. That's what I believe is going on here. All right. The eclipse can help you see that a particular can help you see something about your relationships or shared money with other people or your emotional bonds. It can have to do with trust. Yeah, and trusting other people as well. It's in that house of trust and truth, kind of lies and secrets. That's where the sun is with Mercury. Yeah, there can be definitely a revelation there as well. And what can be limiting you, and that can be a relationship or anything really. Um, and anything that I've been really talking about here, though, not anything, right? And Mercury is also ruling your fifth house. We talked about that. And this is also your house of courage. So you're going to be asked in some way to have courage, all right, and be true to yourself, Aquarius. You guys like to be true to yourself. That's what Uranus is about. It's about innovation, the rebel. I'm going to do what I want to do here. So for change or progress. But yeah, it's about Uranus. Your modern day ruler is about authenticity. It sure is. Yeah. And so, the eclipse can question you how you value yourself, Aquarius, and your self-worth. You may be accepting less than your worth in a relationship or a partnership or a marriage. Uh, you know, even possibility maybe, with work or something, because the eclipse is happening in your second house of earned income. And this is your money, maybe from your boss, right? But you could be ready to say it's not okay anymore, right? Pisces can be overly accommodating because they're compassionate and they're sweet, they're romantic, and just they can be over idealistic, right? Where they can actually romanticize things, right? Making things, kind of way much, or thinking they're better than they are. So you could be asking yourself, if someone is contributing enough to anyone, a friend, a relation, somebody in a relationship with you, a business partner. And we talked about the sun there and Mercury making a square to Uranus, right? Your values may be questioned with the full moon, and a financial development can occur, Aquarius. A conversation or a piece of information can clarify something for you regarding money, perhaps. And Uranus is the wild card, so a powerful realization can come out of nowhere. Uranus rules unexpected change, right? Getting that square from, the ruler of the sun here. The sun is always important with a full moon, right? It's always important with the new moon as well. The difference with the new moon is the sun and the new moon are united, and with the full moon, they're opposing, the sun and the moon are opposing one another, okay? Yeah, a financial development can occur. But yeah, a powerful realization can come out of nowhere. You might make a decision, even regarding a financial reward, Aquarius, all right? You might make a decision that supports your well-being and your self-worth or your finances. There's a need to understand the difference, Aquarius, between compassion and self-sacrifice. Yeah, there's a difference here. And that's what the full moon can kind of reveal to you, all right? So thank you so much, Aquarius, for joining me here. If you liked my video, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell. You'll be notified of my next upload. If you want a reading with me, I have 4 words. Very helpful and very empowering. Yes. And my readings are, check out my description, my website. It's in the description box. Make a comment. I really appreciate it. It really helps the channel when you do that. And also, yeah, I'm doing a reading on Wednesday. Haven't decided what time yet. It'll be recorded, so you can see how I read. Yeah, you can see just how awesome these readings really are and helpful. All right. So for Pisces, sun, moon, and rising, and we're putting you on the ascendant here, Pisces, and here you are. All right. And this is your full moon. It's your lunar eclipse. And yeah, and so the eclipse cycle started back in 2024. It's going to end at the beginning of 2027. It will be the last eclipse. Either it's going to be a new moon in Virgo, solar eclipse, or it will be a full moon for you. I think it's going to be a new moon in Virgo. Yeah, it's usually kind of how it works. But it will be ending that cycle. So and the eclipse is happening in right here in your sign of the self, right? Of course. And it is on the axis. Of course, when we talk about the signs, we talked about this earlier. Hopefully you've watched the intro. I always watch it. It's helpful. But this intro here, not intro, but this axis is about the health, the mental health and the physical health here. But it is in the axis in terms of the houses. It's in your sign of the self and in the house rather, of Virgo, in that house, the 7th house of the relationship or the other person, the other situation, the opponent, right? The partnership, the client, the one-on-one. So that's where the opposition is happening. So it's asking you to merge those two kind of subjects, really, right? But it's going to emphasize the importance of independence and also sharing and keeping your own identity, yet the ability to build or collaborate with someone else. You might have to tell somebody, it doesn't have to be a partnership. It could be a friend, could be anybody, could be a family member, some type of partnership you have going on with somebody, a collaborator, right? Or where you have to tell them, hey, look, I've given enough. That's a possibility there. The eclipse can highlight your own needs, and even, for you to potentially kind of, tell somebody maybe, because Virgo and Mercury is there in your 7th house. Just tell somebody that, you can't, or yourself even, where you feel, right, you can't keep being the person everybody wants you to be. Yeah, that's really kind of what this is about for you. And Jupiter is your natal ruler, is ruling the full moon, right? So it's very important. That's why it's your full moon. But Jupiter is also ruling your 10th house of career. But this is your 10th house, Pisces, of personal authority over your own life. Your 10th house of long-term goals, ambition, achievement, and the legacy you want to leave behind. Also, the status and your reputation or your social image and your public image, how people see you, right? How they kind of expect you to be. So, that can be changing, right? You can be showing somebody, hey, look, you, it's a possibility, right? And Mercury is about our communication. It's ruling the seventh house. It's about what we understand and what we know, what we learn. All right. Yeah, let's see what else I have here for you. Yeah, and so let's see what else. Um, Yeah, and that 10th house where Jupiter is ruling, that's where you take full responsibility for your life. Yeah. I feel like this is talking about you speaking up for yourself in some way. It sure is. Jupiter is in also the ruler of the full moon, your ruler, right? Is in Leo, romantic Leo down here. It's creative Leo. And it is in your sixth house of service and work, health and wellness, the health of anything, the health of your life, the health of your work, the health of your creative pursuits that you may want to step into, because Jupiter is here supporting that, right? It's supporting it for another year. Don't take too long, Pisces. Pisces can tend to take really long. Like tomorrow's okay. It's because you have this thing about you guys where you go with the flow, right? And sometimes the flow can pass you by, right? Don't do that, right? Um, but yeah, the health of anything, even your daily habits. This could be telling you possibly with Jupiter in your sixth house that your daily habits need to change. That's a possibility here. And you need to understand that and see that and potentially make a decision about it, right? To be smarter. And Mercury is associated with your goals. Virgo is associated with your work. So there is something going on here for sure about that. All right. This could be asking you to be more practical about your work, right? Your career, also your daily habits and things like that. This could be telling you, come on, step into your opportunities, but you have to do it with a little bit of hard work over here and commitment, because Jupiter is ruling the full moon, right? And you, of course, but it's ruling this 10th house of commitment and discipline. All right. Um, and interesting how Jupiter is in creative Leo. So you guys are creative anyway, right? The sun talks about your creative, your self-expression and your creative self-expression as well. And that's definitely part of it. And here we have the sun with conjoined with the south node. This is saying leave behind these habits that are hindering you, Pisces. It's that clear. All right. For some people, it might not, some of the signs, this is so clear here, right? Yeah, because it just is. All right. So leave behind things that limit you, or leave behind things that it can be romantic, about romantic love, right? Your habits in love, but it's about leave behind the past and things you're so familiar with that they're not helping you grow. All right. Yeah. And you are ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter rules the ninth house of growth and expansion for Sagittarius. So it's still your ruler. All right. And over here, we always want you to grow and expand, right? I'm a Sag, and that's what your chart helps you do. It really does, right? Maybe not somebody else, another astrologer might not do that, but I do that in my readings because I'm also a life coach. All right, yes, and just teasing with that little pat on the back, right? Yeah. Okay, so this can be about your long-term goals. It really can. Step into it, right? Um, yeah, okay. And yeah, we talked about the sun and the moon. Do we talk about it squaring Uranus? I don't think we did. And so it is squaring your fourth house of emotional needs. What it's saying is that the full moon, it's asking you to see what the full moon is bringing you. Yes, see it and understand it. Here's Mercury with the sun, right? And you have to release something here, some old way of thinking, because Mercury's ruling thinking here. Yes, it is. And it's also, yeah, and it's in exactly right. Mercury's in Virgo. It's about you being able to discern what needs to be left behind. That has to do either with your work, your skills, your creative endeavors, your career. That is clear here. It can also be about your relationships as well. It can be. They could all possibly be together, right? But this square here from the sun and Mercury, right, is sextile, not sextiling, that'd be great, right? But it is squaring Uranus, the planet of change, innovation, independence, rebelliousness, or rebellion rather. And it's asking you to step into your power all the way, embrace change. The sun has to do with your power as you show yourself to the world and your courage, asking you to do that. And that can help bring that can help kind of support your emotional needs. This is interesting here because it is saying that if you kind of listen to the full moon and kind of go along with what I'm saying, for some of you Pisceans, this can actually support your emotional well-being. How cool is that, right? Yeah, there's nothing cooler than that. Something has got to be released here in order for you to reach your higher potential. We have the moon bringing some type of realization at 4 degrees. And interesting about the 4, because the 4 does have to do with stability. It does. And here it is, conjoined with the north node of higher potential. But that north node takes free will and effort. This south node doesn't take anything. That's why we're supposed to move away from it. It's just what's familiar, what has kind of, led us here today, possibly. It can be about wounds, family wounds, conditioning, but it has to do with definitely the familiar and what can limit us. So here's the opposition. You got to let something go here in order to move into your higher self. All right. And that will in turn boost your confidence, I believe, Pisces, and bring you more opportunities that have to do with your talents and your work. We have Jupiter in that 6th house. All right. You're also a very adaptable sign. All right. So yeah, you might have a powerful realization that your needs are the most important right now. And that organizing your life around other people's needs is not helping you. And that's what the sun and the south node can bring you right here. Organizing your life around other people's daily needs. Zippo on that, right? No, zilch, right? Or the end of that, right? Right. And so a relationship can reach a turning point for you. Any relationship, as I said, could be with a family member, could be with Uranus is in your 4th house, ruled by Mercury, right? And Mercury's ruling the sun right now. It can be about a family member, it can be about anybody. You might have a powerful realization, or there could be a turning point here, and you may establish boundaries with somebody. Yes. And that's in a way interesting how we have Uranus here. Uranus is about don't hold me down. Don't fence me in, right? You might recognize that a certain relationship is either healthier than you thought, or unhealthier than you thought. Yeah, interesting. With that square there, maybe not, right? It might be you're seeing it as unhealthy. You could be, all right? Because that's what the square kind of, implies already. And since Virgo and the sun wants you to see the facts, yes, exactly. Pisceans may realize they've been living according to an older version of themselves, right? And while Mercury is trining Pluto as well, right? In future-oriented and independent Aquarius, remember Pluto is transformation. So this is not an opposition, it is a quincunx. So the quincunx asks you also to make an adjustment. It's like, come on, do something to make this better. It can be that like there's a misunderstanding, or you kind of didn't know it. Pluto's in your 12th house of what is hidden, right? And the unconscious mind, the house of mystery. It's also in the house of release and endings and surrender and spiritual growth and intuition. So that quincunx here is asking you to see something and release something so you can transform, so you can reach this higher purpose over here, so you can step into your power, so you can see. The full moon is going to help you because it is conjoined honestly as well. And this Pluto's getting this quincunx from the sun and also, the moon here. It's getting it also from the south node of what needs to be left behind to this house of what needs to be released, to Pluto. But Pluto is seeing, understanding things at a deep level. It's the deep knowing. Oh, I understand now. Okay. But it can take a lot of time for us to, but the full moon can make that available now, that information, all right? Or that powerful realization. It can be about money as well. A major realization and understanding, as I said, that change is vital to you. And the moon and the north node of higher potential, yeah, you could, yes. And so you might, that I talked about that a little bit earlier. And you might also, Pisces, learn here that you don't need to like explain anybody here your own feelings of allowing your personal growth and evolution. You don't need to, that's sacrifice, right? Don't do that. Move away from that. And, you know, and this south node over here has to do with sacrifice as well. Yes, it does. All right. So very interesting. Thank you so much, Pisces, for joining me here. If you want a reading with me, check out the description box. 4 words, highly helpful, highly empowering. Yes. And yeah, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell and you'll be notified of my next upload. I really appreciate you guys. Make a comment. Yeah, it's very helpful for my channel right now as I am, you know, building it. Yes. Thank you so much, Pisces. We'll see you in the next one.